What's that?
Do you want to post a link of where we like obviously of the stream?
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna do that.
Yeah, on the chat. Yeah, please
Yeah,
do.
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that in our chat, and then I'm gonna post it on my Discord as well.
Awesome.
Give me just one sec.
Okay.
There's a couple of minutes of like setup with this before I go live on YouTube. It's not just like you go live, and that's one. Thing.
Yeah, I think yeah. I'm just worried because my fridge is right behind me.
Oh, it's fine.
And it sometimes hums, but I don't know if you can even hear it.
No, I could not hear it at all. And I'm using like big speakers and stuff, so it's totally fine.
Okay, cool.
Hello everybody, welcome. I've got Kage with me. That's how I say your name, right?
Yeah, Kage.
I've got Kage with me. I mispronounced his name as Kage so much. Just sorry about that, but we're gonna be getting started in just a second. I'm so happy to have him on here. Everybody, please grab a drink. Please, if you can, do me a favor and like share this, because I really want this to be something special for him. Obviously, he's taking the time out of his day. It's almost 10 o'clock where he is, or I guess it's 9 o'clock, but it's late where he is, and he took the time to come on stream. So please do me a favor, and if you can, if you have a community that you can share this to, please do me a favor and tell everybody that we are live, because I want people to hear his voice. I want people to be able to ask him questions. And I want to brag that I have Kage on my stream. Sorry. So we're going to get started in just a second. Thank you so much, Kage, for being here. I'll be sure to thank you again in just a sec. But I'm going to get some water, and then we'll get started. It's going to be kind of just a pretty chill call. And I'm not sure. You got the link, right, Kage?
Yes, thank you. Yeah,
Okay.
I do have the link, yeah.
So if you have chat pulled up or something, you're more than welcome to talk to anybody or to answer any questions or anything. But other than that, like, it's going to start off as a Discord call. If he gets inspired to show us something, there's that. But it's not really, we're just going to shoot the shit, really. And that's what I'm most excited for. So this isn't a performance deal. He's not doing a lesson. We're just happy to, be two producers talking about some shit. So with that out of the way, listen to some old ass music that I have. I'm gonna get some water, and then we'll come back and we'll hop right in. And
awesome, I'm so keen.
Yeah, me too, man. And I'm just making sure that I have everything shared. I'm gonna tag my entire Discord community, because like I said, I would like everyone to be in here. Everyone.
This is literally like the first ever interview I've ever done.
Is it really?
Yeah, I've like never done like live interviews.
Oh man, get used to it, because I plan on having you a lot more if you want to be.
Yeah, dude, I'm so keen. This is awesome.
If you are a fan of Kage's music in the chat, tell him what your favorite song is from him, because I'm actually curious.
My favorite song? Oh, like, oh,
Well, yeah, you can tell me what your favorite tune that you've written is too, but I'm curious what chat is.
yeah, that would be very interesting.
All right. I have my water. Are you good to go, sir?
I am good to go.
All right. Let me turn the music off. Uh, Everybody, thank you so much for being here, for coming in and joining me today. I have with me a freaking incredible producer named Kage, and I'm so lucky to have somebody like him on the channel. Oh, Dash just came in. Big ups. How do you say how's it? Um, so we're pretty much live.
How's it?
Yeah, if you guys want to support his channel, if you want to check out his music, which like if you don't know him, like you owe it to yourself, especially if you are a fan of my channel. But please go support him. The links are in the description, and all of his stuff is all there. He recently started doing live streams over on Twitch, which is also in the description. So I think that like I'm trying to help him get his platform up and going and stuff. So I'm not sure if you've applied for affiliate or not, but that's the easiest way without having to even like pay money to help get him to being able to sustain himself and be supported and stuff. Hello, Xavier. Hello, Delta. Hello, Dash. Hello, Evan. Hello, Haslo. Hello, Lex. Hello, NX. Hello, Chris. I think that's everybody. Sorry, I don't even know, like the organization aspect of this is absolute trash, but please everybody, welcome Kage. Thank you, dude, so much for being here. You doing okay? Like, how is everything?
Yeah. I mean, I'm doing okay. I mean, with work and things, it's all, busy life, but I'm all good. I'm super keen for the stream. How are you doing?
Man, I'm so good that you're here. I've been like, as soon as you said that you would agree to coming on to the channel, I was like, fuck yeah. Like, I live with my girlfriend, which is pretty recent. I just moved in with her, but I was like, dude, guess what? Kage said he'd come on the stream. So that, I was like bragging about it on Discord, like, Kage said he'd come on the stream. I got him. So it's crazy. Man, it's cool. And I think that it's important to get excited about these things. And for me, like, I come from like the tricking background and stuff, and so whenever I hear that someone is either coming to town, it's almost like having a training buddy, right? Or it's almost like having like a a peer or some sort to be able to share these experiences with, right? Because it's one thing when you are teaching a lesson to somebody, which is still fun and fulfilling, but it's another thing to be like, wait, this is somebody that actually knows something, that does stuff better than I do, and they're willing to talk about it. Fuck yeah. So
yeah, dude, that's much love. I mean, I feel like we kind of on the same level. I don't know, or maybe I think we are on the same level, dude. I think you undermine yourself so much because I'm sure. I mean, a lot of people look up to you in your music and obviously your the way you teach and all these things. I mean, everyone's here to watch, not only me but also you because it's your channel. So again, I was super keen to do it because I was like, wow. Man, such a cool thing to do, so I really appreciate it.
And I do too. And to me, it's not, it's always just about like, it's about the camaraderie and it is about the music and stuff, but it's about creating a place where people can come in and gather and be like, we all make music, so let's talk about music. We don't have any, and the thing that like part of the thing that I'm so excited to have you on with too is like my viewers know that, I think it's safe to say that I'm very like experimental with just trying different stuff. And so to have somebody that's like, and we had talked about this earlier, for one, you have a very similar workflow to how you curate music and all that. And there's a couple points that I would like to like kind of just remind chat about, but somebody that does that's already kind of walked that path. And being able to say, oh, well, how did you approach that? How did you do something like that? And have an open conversation about that is really kind of why it's such a treat for me in particular. We were just talking before stream and I was asking you about like, how do you describe your music? Like, is neuro even in that category or?
I mean, neuro, I mean, yeah, I feel like a lot of guys would say this is like neuro hop or, those kind of things. But I know that the biggest name, a lot of guys will call it halftime. I don't know if you've heard that name going around, like halftime, because, drum and bass at halftime tempo. Because I originally, came from, not the drum and bass scene, but that was the kind of the thing I the neuro from drum and bass, that sound design, and then hip hop. So it's like that. So it's, I guess that's where it all comes from. That neuro hop or glitch hop kind of a vibe, but definitely more halftime in quotation marks.
Yeah, I feel like drum and bass was kind of always around, right? But then we ended up getting like glitch hop came about, and then it went darker to neuro hop, and then I feel like Ivy Lab were some of the major curators of that kind of like spawned that idea of like it wasn't just, to me it's not just halftime, it's like halftime hip hop. It's like drum and bass but in a in a hip hop format.
Yeah. But basically, yeah.
But there's also like the kind of halftime, if that's okay with just using for like just a placeholder, but the halftime that you make is also like way down the rabbit hole of being incredibly experimental. And that's the kind of stuff that I'm interested in. And that's the kind of stuff that, like, if you have any thoughts about that, I would love to hear you kind of just expand on that.
So I'm guessing, I mean, a lot of my older stuff and even some of the stuff I do now on stream, it revolves around that, halftime, but like that, like very experimental vibes. And I know I attribute that to it's those two groups. It's Autica and Odeka.
Yeah, Autica. Yeah.
Yeah. So definitely, I always get confused, but I know Autica is that duo that crazy, like they are crazy when it comes to Max for Live. They do that whole setup. They make these crazy sounds from just one patch, which blew my mind. I don't want to get sidetracked, but a friend of mine, Sabroy, Adam, a genius, he makes plugins, so he introduced me to them. But basically, Odeka, which is that trio, they make very experimental music, and they are the ones that got me inspired to, make these crazy deep dive sounds with like hip hop elements, but also drum and bass elements, and just messing with sounds, having almost no songwriting, but just messing with sounds. And then, as Zane Wolf says, one of my close mates and basically my mentor, who's taught me a lot of what I know, is throwing things at a wall, throwing things at a wall and seeing what sticks.
Honestly, me too. So, like,
is that going to be the whole? Is that the whole? You done? Me too.
It might be, man.
Too.
So, true story. I actually reached out to Skylar. For to see if he was willing to do lessons and stuff, and I would definitely take lessons from Marty, and what was the other person's name? I can't remember.
I just noticed. Yeah, Skylar.
There's Skylar, there's Marty, and then there's his brother. So it's two brothers and Skylar, I believe. But obviously,
yes.
like, they just like make incredible stuff. And what's even more incredible is that they do it all in FL Studio, right?
Yep.
But yeah, speaking of Sabroy, somebody in the chat had a question on that. So if we ever have a moment to take time for questions and stuff, somebody was curious about how some of that came together. But my question is, like, where did you start?
So I started. That is a very good question because it's a very funny story. To summarize it, so in South Africa, we have what's called primary school and high school. So I went to primary school, which is grade 1 till grade 7, and then high school is grade 8 until matric, which is grade 12. So I know in America, I guess you get middle school between that. So you have like 3 phases. Am I correct?
Yeah. Elementary, middle, and high.
Yeah. So in high school, I really loved art. I loved and I obviously loved music, but I never made music. I was oblivious to the fact of how music was made. But I was a dancer. I loved dancing and all these kind of things. It must be funny that I say dancing and you guys say dancing.
It's fine. It's fine.
But yeah, so I used to do a lot of art. So in grade 8, I got chosen to do art, and then I was drawing the one day in art class, and my teacher was one of my favorite teachers. He was playing this mix in the background. So I was like, what's this awesome mix? What's this music? And this is, mind you, this is in 2011. So I'm like, what is this? Cool. Then he gives it to me. I asked him to put it on a memory stick for me. So I took it, and then I was cleaning the house at home on a Friday after school, and then I put the mix on. and the mix was a state of trance. Yeah, so it was a state of trance. So you just hear, Armin van Buuren talking and all those things, and I was mind blown. Like, oh, this is amazing music. Long story short, there was this artist that were interviewing, this young and upcoming artist by the name of Artie. So I don't know if you know this guy, massive trance DJ at the moment, but back in the day he was up and coming. So they interviewed him, and they were basically saying, oh, you make all these amazing tunes using FL, am I right? And back in the day, FL Studio was known as this cheap software, right?
Right.
No one, this is like 2011. No one, like everyone discredited FL Studio. And I was like, what? This guy makes the music he's playing? And that, I don't know what it was. I dropped the broom, went into my little cheap laptop, looked up FL Studio, saw there's a free version, downloaded it, and I didn't know what I was doing. And I was trying to make like all these kinds of music, but what I would do is there was a lot of rappers in my high school, and basically these rappers wanted beats, but I was so bad at making beats. I used to go online and like download FLPs of like remakes of beats, and then I would just give it to them for free and be like, yo, check this beat. And that was basically, I was figuring things out, like opening up FLPs and stuff. And then around about that time, close as things were going on, I got more into, so this is the big room era.
Yeah.
So yeah, Cape Town. Yeah, I'm from Cape Town. Yeah, I'm just also reading the chat, sorry.
No worries. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to answer the chat as well. So yeah, where was I with the FL Studio and all those things? I think I lost my train of thought. So yeah, with the rappers and the beats. So then, as I got more into making, music and things like that, I know Skrillex came down to Cape Town. This is in, I think, 2012, 2013, or 2014.
Recording to long.
And I watched a video. It's on YouTube still. When he has those, Skrillex goes to, when he goes to South America, or when he went to, all these different places. There's those videos of him touring, and on one of the scenes, you would see him. He has Ableton open. And I was like, what is that? Because obviously at this point I'm obsessed with Skrillex. And yeah, then I opened up Ableton, got Ableton, and I just started making lots and lots of big room house. I might share it, but I have a link to, actually, I can see if I can find it. I have a link to like one of the very first songs I ever made.
Really?
I'll see. I'm gonna I don't know if I should share it though, because it's so bad.
You can, but I want you to know that I'm not out to embarrass you or make you feel uncomfortable. That's completely at your discretion. Just happy that you are here. Or what we could also do is we could post the link in the Discord or something, and people can listen on their own or something.
I'll do that after, probably when I find it.
Aware. What does that?
Yeah.
What does that mean? What does aware mean?
It's you actually pronounce it aware.
Oh, aware.
Aware.
Sorry.
Sorry, it's funny. It's all good. You're trying. Aware. It's just like, it means a lot of things. So when you greet someone, you'd go aware, and they'd go aware. Or you could be like, can I have some chips? Then they'll be like aware, which is yes.
Oh, okay.
Or like, so it's more like an affirmation, like you can agree with someone, or it's just a greeting, or you literally, like, when it's just to say it, like you'll say the most dumb thing, and then afterwards you can be like, yeah, like aware, yeah.
Gotcha. It's
a weird
acknowledgement.
thing,
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah. But yeah, I don't want to make that other story too long.
No worries, man. I'm here for it.
But yeah, basically that whole Skrillex thing happened, and basically I just would wake up at like 5-6 o'clock in the morning before school, and I'd become so obsessed. I wouldn't sleep. I would just really want to learn how to make, like, how do you make big room house, how do you make kicks, how do you make snares? And I would spend hours downloading tutorials and just, pardon, I was downloading tutorials, and I was just a lot of things, just trying to get wrap my head around everything. And then one of my best mates, I should definitely introduce you to him. His name is Muzu. He was heavily into drum and bass, and he introduced me to Camo and Crooked.
Yeah.
And this is in like middle high school kind of, and that was like game over. I was like, I don't care about Big Room anymore.
Right.
I just want to make music like Camo and Crooked, and then you get Noisier, Mefuse. And then I was getting a lot more into also like so drum and bass and a lot of trap kind of stuff, like hip hop. So this is, I guess, where the kind of the story properly gets like, like juicy, I guess. There was these. So I made a song under my old name called. My old name was Murdoch. And I don't know why I choose names that everyone has, but I chose Murdoch. Because I don't know, I was watching Daredevil when that series came out on Netflix. I was obsessed with it, so I was like, I want to name myself Murdoch. So I made a song called Altona, and I think it was Altona. Yeah, it was. It was Altona, and Noiser played it on Noiser Radio.
Dope, man.
So I was like, oh wow, like that was sick. Like I never knew that could happen. So I was very grateful for that. And then with that, I got booked for my first gig, which is very rare in Cape Town, I guess. And I basically then, a lot of people started messaging me, and I got in contact with a lot of people. And then I got in contact with a guy called Frank, who's also he's a bass music producer. So this is one of the first times I got introduced, like, hip hop, glitch hop kind of bass music.
Yeah.
And he invited me to his house, and he was like, yo, pull through, let's make some beats. So I went through, we made some beats. I learned a lot from him. And basically he was friends with a guy that curates these beat competitions, these beat battles. So I finally got entered into one of the beat battles. And at that beat battle was a guy called Chi. So, this is where I say it's the juice. So these beat battles, they were called button bashes, and they would give you the sample on the Monday, and then you'd have to make the beat for the Friday. So Chi came through, and I mean, my friend Muzu, Dylan, he was chatting to Lee or Chi quite a lot. And long story short, Lee knew who he was. He didn't really know me, but we ended up going obviously to the venue to do the beat battle, and Zane Wolf was there as well.
Man, just
everyone was there. It was like a melting pot. And when the beat battle happened, he smoked everyone. I think he didn't win though. I think it was tied first with Zane's cousin, if I remember. But the beat he made, it blew my mind. I was like, how? No ways. What are you doing? I want to be your friend.
Right. Hello.
Yeah. So we had a lot of big guys were there as well. But the people that I was drawn to was Zane Wolf and Lee Chi. Chi, bro, I haven't heard
That's
of him
insane.
Truly, yeah. So yeah, and then basically Zane invited me. He was kind enough to invite myself and Dylan Muzu back to his house the next day to have a full day of producing, because Lee was there as well. And I still think I have the video of me in studio with Chi and Zane Wolf, and we were just sitting there watching him produce, and you should have seen our faces. This is still when I think it was on Snapchat or something. I still have the video. And I was almost in tears, because the way that he's a genius, like it birthed something in me. And the conversations he was having, he was like, and remind you, this is 2019. He was literally like saying like he's the biggest fan of Ivy Lab, like he looks up to Tsuruda, like Tsuruda is one of his favorite producers, and if anything in life he would love to just be able to meet him, and that is such an inspiration because he's literally on tour with him, like
Man,
he's on
that's so
tour
cool.
with Tsuruda. So I mean, I'm saying these things because I hope everyone in the chat and everyone just listening, like stuff like that really keeps, I guess, keeps me going, you know.
Yeah, I am so
Knowing that-
sorry. I knocked my guitar over.
Oh, sick.
But no, like, man, that's so cool that you say stuff like that too. And that's kind of what we were talking about before as well, right? It's like with the internet, with the technology that we have today, you know, like before, if I looked up to you, I would have to like send you a letter or something, or like an email, and be like, first of all, I'd have to find your email, and second of all, like I would have to hope that it doesn't go to your spam folder and be like, what do I do, right? But luckily, you know, I was just able to, you know, send you a message and stuff and be like, you know, and be able to just talk to you as a person. And I'm really hoping that people are encouraged to do so. Like I recently came up with this video about like five producers that are teaching privates and why you should take private lessons from people. And by the way, like if anybody's interested, like please book a lesson with Kage. I think that he's opening the doors for that. Maybe I don't know, sometime soon. Just hit him up. But yeah, like and even for me, like, you know, we had been talking about earlier too, like I would definitely take lessons from you and stuff, but we're all just people, you know. And it's not really, for me, like in wanting to do something like that or wanting to learn or take knowledge from you isn't really even just one of these ideas that I'm like, oh, you know, you don't have to be an icon. You're just somebody that makes really good music that I admire. And I have the availability to just be like, hey, do you want some money? Can I have some information in exchange for some money? And rightfully so, you know, or maybe, you know, sometime down the line, you know, I don't want to tell people that you're switching to Bitwig yet. No, I'm totally kidding. Yeah, but you know, like if you want to spend some time with me in Bitwig or something, you know what I mean? There's that availability. And yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no. I was gonna say it's also, just sorry to interrupt you there. It's also a thing of I'm all about obviously helping people out, just as you are helping me out. Like it's like that's why I'm so appreciative of it. But it's kind of a thing of like, I will help you out, and you know, you can help me out, and we can just grow together. And it's an interesting thing of like Mr. Beast. I'm not a YouTuber, but I was reading this interesting thing about Mr. Beast said, and he said that he doesn't understand why when people want to collaborate, they get like, don't share the information. You know what I mean? Like, don't like if three of you are working together, like me, you, and someone else, we shouldn't share our information with each other. We should just use each other. But he was like, nah, that doesn't make sense, because if you work alone, you're gonna fail 1,000 times. You know, like you'll fail 1,000 times before you eventually get that one time that works right. But if you're three people, you can fail 1,000 times divided by 3 and get to that point even quicker. Do you get that logic?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like,
that's so cool that you say that too, because something that I had a talk with my instructor, because like I know that I briefly told you that, you know, I teach martial arts and stuff or whatever, but
yes.
I have 3 different art things that I do. Sorry, I just a small like tangent in order to get back to to get back to the deal. But I was like, you know, Sifu Joel, I feel like I get JKD the most. And he said, even though I've been doing it for probably the least amount of time, and he said, well, Ian, why do you think that is? And I said, I don't know. And he's like, you've had a teacher your entire martial career. You taught yourself tricking, you taught yourself music. So of course, like, you're going to run into way more roadblocks and stuff because you're not going to know how to get over those things. But having a mentor or having somebody to help guide you through that, it doesn't necessarily have to be, you know, like they teach you everything or whatever, but having something or having a resource to bounce stuff off of being like, yo, hey, Kage, I was working on this, or like, what's your approach to this, and then we do it in the format of a lesson, or we do that in form of that exchange. That's
Yeah.
that's like one of the best ways in order to improve. Now, in regards to
And
gatekeeping
yeah.
information, there is one thing that like I think that it's up to the person who gives the information to kind of decide what to do with it. Because one thing that I worry about, and this is something that I talk to Hudson Lee and Frequent about, is I don't want to do a lesson that I pay for and then make a video about it, because that
Oh
takes
yeah.
away, you know what I mean? Like that takes away money that could be going into your pocket that I paid for personally and then put it
Yeah.
out for free. So there
Yeah.
is a balance with that. And I think that like everything that I make that I try to do, and if Frequent or Hudson ever pop in this chat and are talking to me, please come talk to me. But I try to make everything into my own words and into something that I make unique with a unique
Yes.
perspective. So
Yeah.
yeah, like I totally agree with what you're saying. I think that gatekeeping information is ridiculous, but there's also a big difference between don't share anything versus you understanding that you have a skill and using that to help support your career.
So I have a very interesting on that, like what you're talking about in terms of the gatekeeping and things like that. I was very I had the same mindset of I was like worried in the sense of, I mean, this was like years ago actually. I was like, I don't know how people are able to do tutorials and stuff, because they're giving away the information, so now everyone's just gonna sound like them, like everyone's gonna use that trick to sound like them. But then I found it's actually funny because no, that's not the truth. And the reason why I say that is, okay, Trinado. Everyone knows. I mean, most like you're a skilled producer. If you really sat down, you could probably make a song that sounds like a Trinado, right?
Right.
And that's kind of the answer, in that if you make a song and it has the similar techniques to Kate, you, even though it sounds like him and it's good, you technically are literally just marketing him, because you will make a song that sounds like him and everyone will be like, oh flip, that sounds like Kate. You know what I mean? Your
Right.
tune is sick, but it sounds like Kate. So you literally, even though if you told everyone how he does his drums or whatever, cool, everyone's gonna sound like Kate, but it's gonna just fall back onto Kate. So if you're true to yourself, give out your information. Let people use it, give people your tricks, give people all your little secrets and stuff. Because at the end of the day, even if they come close to your sound, there's no one like you, if that makes sense. I don't know
Yeah,
if you get what I'm saying. It's like,
absolutely.
yeah, that's a big epiphany that I had. Like,
Your perspective is always going to be unique, and people
mm,
can copy you, and that was something that, even for the kind of sound design that I've, started teaching and stuff, is that like on one end I was like, wow, a lot of people could just, totally copy this or whatever, but it's never going to be exactly the same, because you are you as an individual and nobody knows
yeah,
what you are thinking unless if you express it. And even then it's an
yes,
interpretation, right? So if
yeah,
I'm copying you, I'm not actually copying you. I'm
it's an
interpreting you.
interpretation. Yes,
You know what I
even though
mean?
yeah. It's, you can hear it, but it's not intention. It's like, it's like making anything.
Yeah, and because it's art, like I said, like you can get close and stuff, but that's why like I had no problem of like mentioning those kinds of things too. Like I sent you a track that for everybody. I sent Bronner's Dungeon um, to
Sick tune.
to
So
Kage.
cool.
Thank you
So
so much.
cool.
I you didn't even have to say that, but like it was like that came directly from you, because I listened to Niku like 1,000 times, and there's even a transition in there halfway through the song that like I don't do the same transition, but it's the same type of thing where you delayed a beat and had like kind of like a like
Yes.
and I was like, whoa, that was one of the coolest moments that I've heard through that. And you know what I mean? There were some things that I could pull from that, but even still, I
Mhm.
don't think that people would ever mistake me for you. Um,
Yes. I
just be,
mean, only after you've pointed it out, people might be able to be like, I can understand where you got the inspiration, but it sounds nothing like that, which is beautiful in a way.
yeah. And I'm so glad that like, that you share that perspective and stuff too, just because like, I mean, for one, I always respect anyone's perspective as an artist, because it's up to them to decide what they want to do or how
Hmm.
they want to, share their art. But at the same time, the beauty behind that is that it creates a safe space to exchange information for people as a community to learn. And if that is, you know, a dollar is something that can be replaced, but inspiring somebody to make the best music of their life, or inspiring a community that helps build each other up, like, you can't buy that.
Truly, like literally. And I'll also like to say, in terms of the topic that we're talking about, and how when it comes to inspirations and things, the biggest another epiphany, or the biggest point of change that I found, is I stopped asking how things are made, but rather why. So when I hear, for example, I would hear a noisier song and they would have the specific snare, I wouldn't ask how they made it. I'd rather ask why they put it there, or why did they use that specific snare. And in learning why they made it, you start understanding the actual essence of that decision. And just like Braxton says in the chat, producing is all about decisions. So if you can understand the decisions, you then in turn will make a decision based on that intuition, and then but the sound will never be the same, because you're not trying to recreate the sound, you're trying to recreate the
feel, right?
You know, the feel of it.
Yeah.
Why does it work that way? So whenever I listen to music or watch tutorials, I don't watch it for how does Noisia make their snares, or how does, you know, Imano do his chords. I ask, why did he make that decision? And in learning why, when I make my music, it's my music still. I'm not copying, you know. I don't know that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that comes into like a compositional approach to things. But it to me, the way that I understand it is like, and that's something that I try to do as well, is like tell people like, hey, don't try to copy the sound. Like, use it as a formula and then make your own, which will segue into the next kind of topic I want to touch on again. But in doing that, those are compositional decisions about what is it that you are trying to express. I think that for you to say something like that, that puts you on a pretty, like, that tells about how dense your artistry and like your musical journey is, because a lot of people, I feel, don't have the awareness for that. A lot of people are just like, well, I'm just going to make a halftime beat, you know, I'm just going to do that. And a lot of times that shows, but you know, for you to be able to ask yourself those individual questions and then express that in the language of music, like, takes a lot of time to cultivate.
Yeah, dude.
Which is really cool, you know. And even for me, you know, I think that like a lot of questions that I get in chat or in just stuff in general is like, you know, oh, I've made a neuro bass. Well, how do I use it in a tune? And even for me, sometimes that's really challenging. But I think that, you know, for you going back into the same deal of asking, well, why do you want to use that in a tune? Well, what purpose is it supposed to serve? Which goes into kind of where I've been with music lately, which is the idea of storytelling as a whole. Sorry, like, I don't really want to talk a whole lot about my music and stuff, but it's something that I got from Hudson, just about the idea of like, as opposed to creating stuff that's formalized and like, you know, on grid, or, you know, something that is what's the word I'm looking for? Conformed. Something that's so conformed. It's really just a matter of having the instruments as voices or as characters, and the motions and movements that play are pretty much just the events of a story. And it's kind of liberating in a sense. Like, if you look at like Tom and Jerry, you know, like how everything is voiced through instrument, right? Every movement, you know, someone swings a bat and then like someone has like a string pull on a violin, and it makes that like personification of some sort. And that's the kind of stuff that I'm like, man, that's super duper cool. But I think that like there's a balance in between all that and stuff. But I just thought that maybe you would think that idea is kind of interesting. So regarding with that though, right? And I don't necessarily want to get into so much of the hows, even though I do have a lot of questions with that. I feel like that would be rude to be like, yeah, I heard what you just said, but how do you do this? But but something that's interesting that you were talking about was you were into this idea that somebody can give you anything, right? Any sound, and you can make an entire tune on it. Which is funny, because that's what I've been saying to chat for a really long time, and I was just wondering if you wanted to expand on those thoughts.
So I always like to give a little bit of backstory to these things because I think it does give perspective, and I think it. Yeah, I'll just give a little backstory, very short. So, in where I studied, they showed us an artist. I literally forgot his name. How can I forget his name? He's literally one of the best artists in the world in terms of IDM. What's his name? It's top of my head. I'll get back to it. I'll get back to it. But basically, I think he made Foley Room. His first album, one of his first albums was Foley Room.
Aphex Twin?
No. On that label though, or he's been on there before. Let me just type it in quickly.
Eamon Tobin?
Yes, Eamon Tobin. Sorry, I feel hard. I apologize to every Eamon.
No worries.
So sorry.
I'm
the biggest fan.
I honestly guessed, so I didn't know.
Yeah, sorry. It's I don't know. I guess it's because it's my first time on here and it's live and all those things. But Eamon Tobin had an album called Foley Room, and they showed it to us. And that inspired me because he literally he recorded all things all over the world, and he made an entire album out of it, and he made musical elements out of it. And I was like, no ways, he must be using some crazy patches, some crazy things. I mean, he has the what is it, the Keimer? I don't know what it's called, but he has some crazy equipment. There's no ways I can do this. And this was before I met Zane Wolf. And Zane Wolf made an album where he literally did exactly what I'm talking about and what you are talking about, in making everything from one source or some natural source and making everything from it. He has an album called Macabre. I can link it in the chat if that's cool with you.
Yeah, actually, if you want to send it to me first, because
I'll send it to you first,
for some reason you have to be a moderator in order to be able to link stuff.
Okay.
But if you just post it here, then I'll post it in the chat. But yeah, Zane Wolf, I actually have listened to some stuff from him as of recent, and he's dope.
He used to be called, it used to be called Physicist.
Oh, that's Physicist? I had no idea.
Yeah, Zane Wolf is Physicist. Yeah.
Wow, yeah. So I'm actually familiar with a lot more music than I thought then.
Yeah. I really want to send. I don't know if he took his album. I think he did, but I will send it to you soon.
Yeah, no worries.
I'll send you. But either way, that album blew my mind. Still does. It's still one of my favorite albums. And to get back to now the point of, I met him and I saw his workflow, and he changed my perspective. He taught me a lot. I just sent a little mini mix there of the album, but he changed my perspective when it comes to how to write music and what music is, in terms of music is everything and everything is cliche, but that is literally what it is. And he showed me all these techniques and things like that, and he challenged me basically to say, you would tell me like, dude, okay, next week you're gonna make a song only using water, and that's actually how I made Water.
Dope, man.
It's one of the songs in my first EP. It's literally you would challenge me to say, make a tune only using this sound, make a tune only using this. So he kind of molded me to try and figure out ways, and my ways of making music is very different to his, and that's the beauty of it. That fast-tracked me to make a workflow, because when you are limited, you are forced to be creative. When you have one sound, you are forced to think out the box. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and everyone thinks differently. So when you do it, you're gonna have a different workflow. When I do it, I'm gonna have a different workflow. So the concept of making, I can make anything from anything is just a thing of, I've done it for so long, because of, I will attribute that to Zane. I've done it for so long that there's harmonics in everything. Like if you think about it, in literally anything, you can pull harmonics out of it. You can make, it's very, very hard to explain, but I'm not sure if this school will work, but I can literally give an example. I mean, I've shown it many times on my Twitch.
Yeah, and I guess while you're working on that, to kind of like explain that in a means or of how I resonate or how I interpret that is like every sound instrument has a particular characteristic, right? So
Yeah.
if you're looking at, what constitutes a kick, what constitutes a snare, then what you do, at least in my opinion, is you have effect racks or you have, specific processes in order to turn something into that specific sound family or instrument, right? You
Yes.
say take a piece of water, well, you add a bunch of distortion to it so that way it's full of harmonics, and then you give it, a pitch bend, and then you
Yeah.
give it a transient shaper, and suddenly you've made a kick out of water. But the cool
Yep.
thing that I've been talking about with stream and stuff about that stuff, and this is why, again, right, this is like why I was so why I wanted to have you on the channel, is that there's still what's so fucking sick about it is that there's still a natural like essence of the water. Like, yes, you made a kick out of
Yes.
water, but it's still water, so it always has this organic like aesthetic or thing
Feel.
that's to it. Yeah, exactly. So if you're ready to share, or if you want to share something, then you're more than welcome to. But I kind of just wanted to like
Okay.
talk about that and how I
Yeah.
have found a way to kind of meet you there with what you do.
I would want to show it more, just in the sense of playing it, but
Yeah, that's fine too. Absolutely.
um, like how do I say this? When it comes to, just like you're saying, it's so beautiful how you'll have your natural sounds and you'll distort it and mess with it, but it'll always have that natural place.
Yeah.
It has that feeling of, it's definitely not a synthetic source. And you can tell me anything you want when it comes to synthesizing sounds and sound designing with regards to resampling. Resampling will not always, but I believe most interesting results would come from something natural. Simply because nature is so chaotic.
Right.
Synthesis is perfect, and our minds are always like, when it comes to synthesis, we're trying to make it chaotic. You know what I mean? We're trying to make these chaotic sounds use
Yeah.
anyway, end up resampling it anyway, like, you know what I mean? We anyway are doing what nature is already doing automatically. So imagine doing it to something that's natural. You literally are giving birth to things that are like next level, like something that was never meant to be there. It's completely different, whereas everyone can open up serum and try making a Reese using water. You're not going to be able to use the same water if you've recorded it yourself. You know what I mean?
Right. Absolutely. And on top of that, the other thing that is really interesting, just as far as like, human interpretation and I guess in some cases psychology, but like I tell people all the time that like sound design in most cases is really just understanding audible vocabulary. Like as a young kid, you've got all of these different things, right? That like you have like the spinner that has all the animals, and it's like the cow goes moo, or
Whoa,
the sheep
whoa.
goes
Can I hear you?
ba. Oh, I think that's because.
Whoa.
Oh noes.
Why did you go mute?
I'll wait until he
Something happened.
until he pops back out. And for you in chat, I'm sure that you guys have heard this several times. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I don't know what happened there.
Oh, no worries. That's something that happens to me a lot too within the streaming idea or whatever. But what you can
No,
do,
let's chill then. Yeah.
yeah, it's fine. Maybe we can do that another time or something. But
Yeah, that's cool. I don't wanna stop this. Yeah.
yeah, no worries. But I was saying like, way when we're young, we have different things or ways to identify sound, right? Like the cow goes moo, the sheep goes ba. We are able to identify a taxi. We're able to, in some cases, depending on what you pay attention to, you can, identify an engine size of a car or a motorcycle. Well, all that same stuff still applies to what we're doing here. It's just on a more nuanced level. So when you think about that, hi, homegrown. When you think about that, though, and you start to have these natural sounds that are processed and stuff, but you still have a characteristic of it, in my opinion, it's more interesting because it's not just a square wave or a saw wave. It's like, oh man, I recognize like this is something more and it seems so much more alive. And that's one of the coolest things that I found within like your music.
Yeah, thanks, man. Like I learned, and you hear me say or mention a lot of names and inspirations where I get these ideas from, because I'm very grateful, and they are very special when it comes to music.
Yeah.
But like I learned that from a lot of Chi stuff and a lot of Zane Wolf, especially Zane Wolf. When there's organic sounds, I mean, think about it. When you're playing a piano and you play the piano at full velocity, it sounds unnatural, you know.
Yeah.
But if you're playing a chord and you play all three notes super hard at the same time, it gives obviously a sense of tension and like you're angry or whatever, but it's so robotic. But if you just play the notes at different times, at different velocities, automatically it's more pleasant. And why is that? Because it's just more natural. That's how a piano player would play it. So your ear recognizes that. And in the same way, when you're using organic sounds, you'll start to recognize that your ear automatically recognizes it. You know, it's so hard to explain.
No, I understand though. It's more interesting because it's relatable, but it's also mysterious. It's like masked in some cases. Man, that's so freaking cool. So I guess like at this point in time, if it's okay, like I do have one specific question for you to kind of touch on that that is kind of production related, and then maybe what we can do is take a few questions from chat. Just because, again, you know, you said that I'm just being aware of time, and I think that I'm actually going to go when you have to go and stuff. If at any point in time, by the way, Kage, like if you want to come back on, or you want to have another discussion, or you want to do stuff where we're bouncing off ideas with each other or something, please, I would love to have you back. I'm sure that everybody in chat would love to have you back. You are always welcome here. With that,
so much.
Yeah. With that being said, my question is like, I kind of just wanted to ask you about something that you said on one of your streams. It's all about the percussion. And when you were saying that, you were doing a kind of like halftime kind of Saruda type beat. And I was just wondering like if you had anything else that you wanted to elaborate on, or like if there was some kind of methodology behind that. Because like I personally feel like I get it, but I also think it's a great topic to kind of talk about.
Yeah.
And if there's nothing else to it, that's also totally fine. So don't feel like I'm putting you on the spot.
Not at all. That's an awesome question. So again, I'll give full credit. You should check it out. I know Chi has a masterclass on some website. I don't know what it is.
Really?
But he has shown it to me, this technique before. But he basically would take a loop, and using like you would unwarp it, and then using pitch. So you would pitch something up and pitch something down. Obviously, it speeds things up and slows things down.
Mm-hmm.
And he basically talked about how if you have a static beat, like a kick and a snare, that's the static beat. But if you're obviously moving the pitch, I don't know if you can picture it in, this is what I wanted to show, obviously, and able to picture it in your mind. If you're moving obviously the pitch up and down, the loop that that's unwarped and you're pitching is obviously in context to the rigid beat is going to be out of time or in time, but there's going to be different rhythms.
Right.
I don't know if you understand.
Yeah.
If you can visualize that.
Absolutely.
It's like yeah.
Oh, like imagine if you placed a loop within a sampler that has like the standard playback, and then you play it slower, right? It's going to be at a lower note, but it's also going to play slower or faster or whatever, right?
Well.
And so I'm guessing maybe that's a technique, or that's kind of like a skill that you guys use for, you know, making stuff seem like it's off rhythm and then repeating that on the next turnaround or something.
Yeah. So the reason why I started with that is to actually try and because that's the basis of the that's the basis of actually like how, you know, what this methodology when it comes to percussion and things. So it's that whole repitching thing.
Mm-hmm.
So again, you'll have your static beat and your repitching and stuff like that. The whole concept of you're talking about with percussion, your drums, in terms of your kick and snare, your snare is almost 100% always going to be same place, correct? Especially if you're making a halftime beat or something.
Yeah.
It's the placement of the kicks that's actually most important, but in context to the percussion. So again, this is going to be way better explained showing it, but the point I'm trying to make is the reason why I say it's all about the percussion is because the percussion should dictate the pattern of the kick, not the kick and snare dictate the pattern of the percussion. And the reason why I say that, what I've noticed in making so many beats, or these kind of beats, if you start with a kick and snare, almost 100% of the time you're going to be using the same percussion placements, correct? Like if you're doing, just say you're doing 100 or 80 BPM halftime beat, your percussion in terms of it's often going to be in the same or similar places because you're using similar kick patterns. But if you start with the percussion and the snare, which is always going to be in the same place, based on the percussion that you can change using that pitch technique, you can make some very interesting kick rhythms because it's never going to be the same because you're obviously moving the percussion. I don't know if you understand what I mean by that.
Absolutely, dude. If that's not the coolest fucking thing I ever heard.
But you'll see it if you watch my Twitch streams. I do it almost all the time because no matter what I do, it's almost like resampling yourself and you're always coming up with new ideas. And again, guys, that I learned from Lee, from Chi. There's literally a masterclass on the internet where he shows this technique. So please support him and check that tutorial out. This is not something that I came up with. This is something that he showed. So
yeah.
But yeah, that technique is like that whole thing of it's like resampling a vinyl. That when you pitch it up, like Kanye used to do it. Obviously, it makes it chipmunky, but it has a certain rhythm to it.
Yeah.
So, and then when you consolidate it, you can then do it again, and then you change it, and you can then you can start cutting it, and then moving different percussion hits and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's not on YouTube. You have to pay for it. I think it's like $50.
Let me see if I can find it really quick. Dude,
Yeah.
Thank you so much for taking the time to explain that. And I think that like there's a running joke on my stream that like I can't make halftime, or that it just sounds so fucking generic. And I think that that's a major component to it. But I really that really resonated with me whenever you said that on stream. And I wish I would have been live whenever you were doing that. But that makes so much sense. And I think that's such a cool concept of just coming up with that. And I guess like, if since you went through the trouble of explaining something of a cool trick, like one thing that you probably already know of that you do, that I do, wait, that came out wrong. One trick that I would like to share with chat that you probably already know of is that if you have any particular sound, it doesn't matter what it is, because you can create onsets / like transient points on a particular sound. You can use that and change the warp mode into either beats mode or to change it into slice mode or whatever, depending on if you're in Bitwig or Ableton, to create percussive hits. And then you can process that to make it either more metallic or to make it more distorted or whatever, and you can create your own loops with that. So imagine taking imagine taking that concept, and then imagine taking what Kage just told us into creating just even more shit that sounds fucking awesome.
Literally, and then that's exactly what I was. It's like you can build so many techniques on top of that specific basis, which is why I'm just talking about that basis. Because, I mean, imagine doing that with vocals, stretching out vocals like that, like pitching it up or down. Well, like what I like to do, I'll pitch it up, warp it, and then pitch it back to its normal pitch. And now obviously it's a bit foggy. It's a bit the warp markers will be a bit messed up because obviously you pitched it to a different time, and that's warped to your BPM. And then using the beats, it'll start chopping it up like the consonants will become percussion. And again, this is all in that cheat tutorial.
Yeah.
So
it's pretty awesome. And like I said, it's just like when you start exchanging tricks like that, and then you start talking about, oh, I could do this with that, oh, I could do this with that. Well, that's where you start getting into what we were talking about at the beginning, right? Which is getting out of the idea of copying and instead making it your own. and that's kind of like the beauty of like that just happened, you know, organically. And I hope that all of you guys, with all of the, you know, special tricks that you have, with all of the techniques and stuff that you guys are doing, that's the kind of stuff that, at least for me as a producer that is sharing information, that I would want you all to be able to make connections to as well, because that's what's going to help you make your own unique music, right?
Yes, and just a very quick thing, and I don't want to, like, you know, because I want to get into teaching, and I know you teach and stuff, but the biggest thing, if anyone's getting into producing and wanting to learn more, just from me sitting next to Zane Wolf and Lee, specifically Zane Wolf, learning from Zane Wolf 4 months, I learned things worth 4 years worth of, I don't know if you get what I mean, like just sitting next to someone, with someone, and watching them produce and producing with them and seeing how they think, you learn things so much quicker. It's actually crazy, because I do say it's important to be on your own.
Yeah.
But yes, literally as Greedo said, information is inspiration, and as Reactor B said, streams also. I learned a lot also from streams. Going on Twitch and watching, people stopped streaming as much. They're all Patreon stuff now, which is also a good place to go to.
Yeah.
In terms of getting information, but I will always say a personalized, sitting with someone, or just getting into Discords, guys. Getting into Discords, watching streams. I mean, Alckemy has a bunch of tutorials. Watching his streams, guys, you will always learn something more so. And if you're uninspired, biggest things, if you literally are uninspired, go watch a tutorial, go watch some stream. For me that works. If that, like, I know that's not a question, but if you're uninspired and you don't know what to do, go watch a stream, because you start to be like, that's an awesome trick, let me see what I can do with that.
Right.
And you start, you know what I mean?
Or, you know, go hit up someone like Kage and get into his DMs and ask if he teaches lessons, you know, like that's also a really easy way to,
that's also a way to do.
To me, that is the best way. Like if you like somebody's music and you want to learn how they make their stuff, like you should go seek that person out and be like, hey dude, what are you doing? Can I, you know, do you teach, you know, do you, you know, whatever. And, you know, obviously offer them compensation and stuff, but make it work. Because for me personally, like with all the lessons that I've done, it's always way more fun to work with somebody that's genuinely interested in someone that knows my music versus somebody that doesn't know anything about music. And there's fun stuff and challenges to that too. But when someone's like, man, I really like the way that you make your snares. When someone's like, man, I really like the way that you curated this kind of beat. What the hell goes into that? And you're like, oh, well, let me show you. And, you know, you take a walk together. There's as far as like teaching is concerned, there's nothing more satisfying than that, because there's already a connection established between the person knowing, well, what they want, and then also they know your music. So
yeah.
Kage says, are you going to hop on Discord after, or sorry, Reactor says, are you going to hop on Discord after this?
Where is he?
And then
I'll hop on. Yeah.
And then Braxton says, how is your mental health?
It's a very good question.
Are you okay?
It's, I mean, I don't know if it's really a mental health thing, but I can be very, very taxing on myself. I have a full-time job. I mean, I work a 9 to 5, and I'm also very much into fitness. Like I do gymming and things like that. But on top of that, I also want to get into, I'm a big music person who's into music.
Mm-hmm.
So I become extremely anxious and stressed if I don't spend enough time on music. Like if I have not produced that day, it really, like, I become so stressed, can't sleep and things like that. So mental health wise, I do think I need to work on that more, you know. I do think it's important that I should try and probably slow down a bit. But I mean, thank you for the question. But yeah, I don't know. I don't even know how to answer. It's just, I feel like it's also, I will say, I mean, Reactor B can probably say the same thing. I live in a country that doesn't really support much of what you do, you know, and no matter, there are people that are supporting some of us, but it's very disheartening. I mean, you work
Hashtag.
so hard and you get recognition and stuff, and it's to nothing. Like I have to work a full-time job just to be able to sustain myself,
Yeah.
and I get so tired. Like, you get home, you're so tired, and then you can only make music. And then I have mates who are, or like friends who are producing 4, 5, 6 hours a day every day. You know what I mean? And that also gets me very anxious. Older, and I'm losing time, even though that's not real, but it's just part of having anxiety and
Yeah.
not knowing, am I gonna quote unquote make it? Which to me, making it in definition is just being able to make music and make a living so I can sustain that career.
Same.
So I don't
Yeah.
know if that
I
answers the question, but yeah.
I think that like I think a lot of us are kind of getting out of the idea of being like, well, I don't need to get rich off of making music. I just want to
Yeah,
be
I
able
know.
to be in a place to where I have the freedom to keep making music at all, you know?
Yeah.
And hopefully with stuff like this, I'm hoping that this can kind of, kickstart a couple of things with you, because you just recently started streaming on Twitch.
Yeah.
And you were also talking about, putting yourself on the YouTube platform as well, to which,
Hmm.
I think that if you want to do this again, or if you want me to send you a copy of this, then you can upload this to your YouTube channel or whatever, because whatever
Okay,
we can
awesome.
do, like for me, like I'm a fan of your music, and I want you to, I was just telling my
Likewise,
girlfriend,
yeah.
like, I was like, dude, Kage is coming on the stream. I got to talk to him. Like, fuck, like this is really awesome. So, whatever we can do to
Yeah.
help be a resource for you is kind of what it's about, because yeah, you just make dope
Yeah,
shit.
dude. Like, I mean, really, the thing that makes me even happier than and more than anything in terms of not even the money part or anything like it, when it comes to music is I've always wanted my music to be able to to help me connect with people that have the same mindset as me. And every time that happens, it really it motivates me more than if it was getting paid for the music. In the sense of a lot of my friends that I have, like a lot of, I mean, Reactor B, Mind Sector, I mean, Chad, Zane Wolf, Lee, even you, um, everyone I've met, the fact that I met them through music and through my music is literally what makes me want to do it more, because
Yeah.
it means that there are people out there that feel the same way that I do, and I can reciprocate that. And that to me is the ultimate goal, being able to know that there's other people out there that feel the same way, and the fact that there's something that we all connect with, which is music, and not just our music, but I mean your music, or my friends' music, or your friends, everyone's music. Even though it sounds so different, in essence, it's all not the same. But I mean, there's only 12 notes in the Western scale, which is the beauty of it. But I hope you get what I mean. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
absolutely. And kind of the way that I feel about it, which anybody can feel free to agree or disagree, but like you are responsible in both a good and bad way of the community that you find yourself in, right? And
literally,
so
yeah.
if that's something that you are happy about, that you are proud of, like that's all on you. You did that.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
and you can change it, and you can find yourself in a different community or leave the community or whatever, but like you have created this all for yourself, and I hope that that's something that you feel good about, because I think that all of us, to be honest, would like to know the same people that you found yourself in. And same thing with me for you. Like, I'm just happy I met you. I'm just happy that I'm talking to you. um
And it's awesome because I feel like even outside of music, if we met in person, we would still kind of be like, yo, like we would be like, friends, like,
yeah, me
you
too.
know what I mean, like, which is like awesome. But yeah, sorry, continue. That's wild.
No worries. And that's part of it too, right? Is like you have to be a human being before anything else. That's what
Yeah.
that's what music really is, right? Is the expression of a human being, which would be a really interesting topic to be like, well, music that other animals make and how deep that goes. Um, but as far as all that's concerned, like I said, it's really just a matter of appreciation and like camaraderie in between, and admiration, really, because I just want to be inspiring to other people, and I want to bring people on here that inspire me, because now people can see my paper trail, right? People can see how I got to where I was, and a lot of that is like contributed to the stuff that I listen to that you put out. So to have somebody on here to be like, hey, I literally copied, well, not copied, but like, here, I bit hella hard off of this tune based off of this person. Let's have a conversation with him now and see what, and see what your approach to all that stuff is really just like, you couldn't ask for anything more in the world of music, I feel.
So very, very beautiful. It can be very rewarding.
Yeah. I think that I think from here we'll probably look into wrapping up soon. But does anybody have any final questions? Actually, Dash Glitch had the question: what's your favorite VST and why is it kilohearts?
I used to have bass plant. I was chatting to Alckemy about that. I used to have it, but I couldn't afford playing it every month, so I stopped with that because I was paying Serum every month also. So it's tough because Ableton's. I would say Ableton is my favorite plugin. The stock plugins are sheesh, but I feel like I want to say some quirky, interesting plugin. Like something that no one uses. But
Yeah.
Oh yes, my favorite plugin, Isotope Trash. Favorite plugin all time.
Best
Isotope
distortion
Trash.
plugin for sure.
That is. But you know what? Sorry, it gets me so excited to talk about it. But I only recently discovered it. But firstly, I would love to show it, but I can't. But Trash's limiter, one of the best limiters on there.
Really?
Trash's wave shaping. The fact that it has a wave shaper that you can do bipolar wave shape. What is it? Not is it bipolar wave shaping? I don't know if you know what that is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the thing that Rift.
Dude, that. Anyway, yeah, just those things. But I use it on everything. I literally use it on everything. It is my favorite plugin. It is the best amount of money I've spent so far on music.
Maybe
that is my favorite plugin.
Yeah, maybe in the future, we could talk about, some cool use cases and stuff that you found that in. But that's so I'm so glad that you mentioned the bipolar thing from Trash, because I think that Rift was like, oh, we invented, or at least that's how the wording came off. Maybe that's not what they said, but they were like really advocating that kind of stuff of like bipolar distortion. I'm like, man, look at Trash. It can make any distortion that you want, and it can do that bipolar, and it can do it multi-band. It's it doesn't get any better than that.
And it's cheaper probably.
Yeah, it's probably way cheaper too. So what's your favorite color, and how many push-ups can you do?
Okay, my favorite color. I would say midnight blue. Midnight blue. That's like very, very dark blue, but like midnight blue. Favorite color. How many push-ups can you do? It depends on the push-up. So
good answer.
If I'm doing an incline push-up, an incline push-up, I could probably do like 40 or 50. That's okay. A decline, probably 20. I recently started trying handstand push-ups. I can do 5. You
can do 5,
and I'm very proud of that.
Yeah, but
on the wall though. On the wall, I'm still trying to get off the wall to do a handstand push-up.
Yeah, that's so cool that you were talking about like fitness stuff too. Like I told you, I was formerly from Cirque, and every once in a while I do flips on stream and stuff just for funsies. I try to do it while the girlfriend isn't here, so she doesn't see me shake the house. But yeah, it's that's all kind of in there too, and we can definitely have a conversation about that in the future, as I think that it's really important. Greedo says
because we do different fitness. Sorry, just
you
also do martial arts. And I do a lot of bodybuilding, but yeah.
Oh,
we can definitely chat about that.
Sweet, yeah, that's awesome. Do you know Juji Mufu? No, he's like one of the he's from the States, but like a super popular bodybuilder. He actually like pioneered the tricking community off trickstutorials.com, but he's super famous. You probably have seen him before. You might just not know his name.
Probably.
But
yeah, it's probably the name thing. But yeah.
Yeah. Greedo says, do you mix in the limiter, or do you mix in an empty master channel? And do you do your mastering in the mix project, or do you do it in a separate project?
Okay. I don't have anything on the master. I only have either a span or just a spectrum.
Voxengo.
The funny thing is, hilarious, I've never finished a song ever. And you may
what?
I literally have never finished the song. 90%. I think there's only one song I think I've ever finished in the sense of quote unquote mixed. every single song I've posted, I've missed the deadline, so I just had to send it as is.
Man.
I've never had to sit down. Okay, I'm gonna mix the track now. I'm gonna get everything to -6. I'm gonna, I've never had the time. Never.
Yeah, you were just describing that because of your 9 to 5, you've got like 2
No
hours.
time.
Yeah, like 2 hours a night to work on
max
music.
to
So
produce. So like literally, I had a today's the 1st. Literally, my deadline was today, but I'm gonna make it. So I'm probably gonna have to send what is there. I'm just gonna have to send it.
that's
You know what I mean?
crazy.
And it sucks, but I can do nothing about it. There's nothing I can do about it.
I mean, just imagine what you would make if you did have it. Well, maybe that's not a bad thing. Maybe you would just spend forever on it and never finish it anyways. But that's pretty crazy.
Why is Reactor B trolling?
The only reason
why are you trolling me, Reactor?
Leave him alone. No, I'm kidding. The only reason why I mix with the limiter, or that I have a limiter on the master channel, is because I tend to like overdo distortion like to a fault. So I want to make sure that like I don't hurt the ears of myself anymore or my viewers, because like I definitely think that I've given myself some tinnitus from like mixing in open ear headphones too loudly and not being perceptive enough of it.
I probably am. Because I also only use open back headphones.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. So.
Yeah, well,
open back headphones. Yeah.
That plus being in a noisy environment is pretty much no go. And just because it says that you're hitting 0 dB on a limiter doesn't mean that the real art or that the real loudness is like not hurtful to you. So just keep that in mind for anybody that visual versus actual loudness is not the same.
When it comes to mixing, try and actually low, because if it sounds good low, imagine it when it's super loud.
Right. It's hard though, right? Because like when you start hearing stuff loud, you're like, yeah, this is inspiring. It makes it sound quote unquote cooler.
Yeah.
What volume in your headphones do you make your tracks in?
It varies. In the beginning, it's literally like I know in Mac you have your bars in the beginning. I'm maybe halfway or just under halfway.
Mm-hmm.
But just before I'm gonna go sleep, I listen to it full blast. I'm like, I don't care.
Like the little Mac sound.
Yes, literally, yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't really make my tracks that loud in terms of when I'm producing, because I actually, if I'm sound designing, then I listen to it very soft. But a lot of the tracks, I've been making a lot of drum and bass lately, and a lot of the tracks I make is very, I don't know how to explain it. Even my distortion, I'm learning a lot about harmonics and using a lot of my patches and stuff is very basic. Like I'll make an entire bass just in Serum, but it's literally just a sine wave and a few harmonics, and then I'm distorting it in a certain way so that I don't know, I'm playing around with those kind of things. Lots of harmonic placements and stuff.
That's interesting. I'd like to, I'm sure everybody would like to know more about that in the future, but
yeah, for sure. I can definitely show. That's more my new stuff I try and do, but yeah, definitely.
Yeah, or I guess, I guess now is a good time as any to, recommend that you all go check out his stream. The link is in the description, so please do him a favor and go follow him, help get him monetized so that way he can keep doing stuff like this. There is also a couple of other links that have links to his music or for commission-based stuff, and then also his SoundCloud. Mm-hmm. You should go listen to his entire discography. There's literally not a bad song on there. I'm not just saying that because he's on stream with me. That being said, this is probably where we will wrap up, but Kage, thank you so much for being here. Viewers, thank you so much for joining me today. You guys have no idea how excited I was to kind of do this, but do you have any final thoughts or anything that you want to say to everybody before we hop off, Kage? And maybe you can stick around for 1 or 2 minutes after that, because I have to go soon too.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. Firstly, thank you so much. This is awesome. I definitely would love to do it again. Would love to do some in-depth stuff where we can chat, talk about a lot of things, because I'm a big fan of podcasts in general. And this is the best kind of podcast because you get to talk about the best kind of things.
Yeah.
So firstly, thank you so much for obviously the opportunity. I really appreciate it. And thank you to everyone listening. It still amazes me that people listen to my music at the end of the day. So I really, really appreciate it.
Yeah.
I can quickly answer Oh, portal. I thought there was another question.
Um,
Oh, okay, yeah.
yeah,
Okay, cool.
I think
Yeah.
we're caught up with questions.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So yeah, if I were to leave anyone with, I will say, try and make a lot of, like, literally with Alchemy, try and meet people and chat to people are in the industry in terms of music. Even if you just become friends with them, chat with them, and try and get not a mentor, but someone who's way better than you. Be in groups or chat with people way better than you. Be the, like, quote unquote worst producer in the group. Be that person, because you can only get better. If
Yeah.
that makes sense. So I hope that is something.
Man, yeah, that's great advice. And on that note, like when you first meet somebody, don't just be like, "Hey, bro, collab." Actually, have a conversation
No,
with them.
just chat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
have a conversation with them. Be a person, and don't just like be super quick to throw all of like your self at them. Let them have a
Yeah.
chance to express themselves, and then see where you can match and meet up with that. And I think that's one of the best ways to network with people that are in this field. Keep in mind, like
Yeah.
a lot of us sit in front of a computer for a really long time, and if you're anything like I am, I'll speak for myself. I'm pretty introverted. So for this like
Yeah.
super crazy, you know, gung ho stuff and all that, like some people are all about it, but for me, I would more like to know who I'm talking to as opposed to the artist that I'm
Yeah.
talking to first, because then everything else will
Yes.
make a lot more sense.
It's like it's like DJ 101. If you're playing
Yeah.
a gig, always when you with whoever's playing after you or before you, never introduce yourself as your DJ name. Always say your real name. And
Yeah.
just greet, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Absolutely. Dude, Kage, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate this. Please, if you want to do this
Awesome,
again in the
awesome.
future, I would be more than happy to come up
Yes.
with topics or anything that we can discuss that's actually, you know, production related or whatever. Not worried about it. But just the fact that I was able to kind of get you on here was a really big thing for me. So like I consider this you doing me a personal favor. So thank you so much. For those of you guys in the chat, thank you so much for being here, and please go support Kage and his music and and his musical journey. I guess with that, we will end the stream. So bye everybody. I'm going to stop the stream now, and then Kage, you and I can have a quick chat after.
Awesome. Yeah.
And nothing